I'm the Yusuke Murakami from Field Assistant, and Yuta is from JAXA, and Mizuki is from Real Tech Fund. So, first of all, let us start from this question. Smart in isolation. What is smart? Is it same as like open air smart? No, it's not. If we think about the far Earth planet, such as Mars, it's completely isolated because it's far from civilization and no supply for 2 years or 3 years or something. And we met with same crew every day and same habitat, same routine, and we can't meet with precious family and no season. Yeah, it's totally isolated. So, the Mars, the place of Mars, is kind of a forefront place, forefront. But inside the forefront place, we don't necessarily like high-tech, new, advanced at all. We just need like a trustable, reliable, resilience, empathy, easy to find backup, simple. We need that. So that's a kind of a priority of in isolation. So let me introduce myself. I'm known as the Japanese most isolated man. In totally 1,000 days in Antarctica for wintering team. I spent on Antarctica for 1.5 years, and I also was the Mars analogous astronaut, and I stayed Ever Space Camp as a Mountaineer team, and also Arctic. So that's why I have full knowledge about isolation. I think you guys can't listen my story without crying. It's very, very painful. So, but please don't afraid about thinking about isolation life. It's very simple. During the inside isolation, the good food, good sleep, good laugh. We just need this thing. That's all. But as you know, the simple is very difficult, right? It's always coming complicated. Keeping simple is very difficult. So, let's say that safety is always start from food. Can you understand this means? It's not mean like security of food. I want to say the security is coming from food, because like inside isolation, it's difficult to control the relationship between crews. You know, all the crew was selected, and they want to act them as like a good crew. So it's kind of overacting, and so it's pushing their mind. So it's becoming like, it's not natural. So inside their heart, they are very irritated and like a rush or something. So, but that's why the communication between crew is very difficult. But this kind of conflict, it's not happened on the meeting table. It's always happened on the dining table, because beside the dining table, the people becoming natural. So they show the natural behavior. That's why like a food is coming like a trigger of the conflict. So of course there is a many stress like this, like overwhelm, rust, burnout, so on, and also there's a many limited on the isolation, like quickly food stuff, energy, weight. So we have many stress and also limited. So if we think about food in isolation, we have to, first of all, we have to think about these two things. One is nutritious and one is richness. But this is totally different. It's not incompatible because nutritious is coming from survival and it's coming from strategy, right? So richness is kind of belongs to every day. It's coming from habits. So that one is, it's kind of planned, scheduled. But richness is coming from like accident. So it's totally different. So it's kind of incompatible. It's incompatible with each other. So but inside isolation, we have to solve this problem. It's so tough. But maybe Japanese is very good at mastering this kind of restrictions. So I finished my presentation, and I will pass to Yuta and Mizuki, so they are give you us more specific answer and explanation. Thank you. So if you want to learn about more isolation stuff, just check this QR code. You can find like a 30 minutes documentary of my field assistant project. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yuta. I'm from JAXA, Japanese Space Agency. We call ourselves Japanese NASA. It is my great honor to be invited here. Thank you, Mike. Well, my mission is to develop new business through space. Now, let me introduce the background of Space Food X. I believe commercial space travel will begin as early as this year or next year. The first is a trip to an altitude of 100 kilometers. We'll be looking down on the blue Earth. But in the future, we extend to the Moon and Mars. SpaceX and Blue Origin, headquarters Seattle in Seattle, have announced such an exciting plan. What would you like to eat in space? We are thinking about the future space food. Let's take a look at the history of it. The development of space food has been driven mainly by NASA, Human Exploration Program. It has been evolved little by little, depending on the number of days being in space. Apollo program seems to have dramatically improved freeze drying and retorto technologies. The challenge to the Moon is also the challenge to the new technologies. Currently in ISS, during a long-duration mission, which is about 6 months, astronauts can choose from about 300 meals menu. In addition, astronauts can bring their own space food developed by their own country. In Japan, there are 34 kinds of Japanese space food. This is real Japanese space food on Earth in traditional Japanese tableware. Rice, fish, curry. We developed space ramen so that we eat in space with zero gravity. For example, in bite-sized cubes, we Japanese love ramen noodle. I eat it almost every day. So please tell me the recommended ramen shop in Seattle. The most important thing is to provide Japanese astronauts the familiar taste of home. Do you like Japanese foods? Japanese food is also very, very popular in space among astronauts from various countries. He is Russian. In addition, fresh fruits and vegetables delivered by Japanese spacecraft are very popular among astronauts too. We define several human issues in space, and we are trying to solve them through food. We believe space food is important not only for nutrition, but also for improving communication and reducing stress. And the time when you live on the moon and Mars is approaching. What kind of food do you think you eat there? Well, the following presenter Mizuki show you a few examples later, but how should we eat these foods? We have divided the evolution of the space food into 3 steps. So far, we need to cook them on Earth and carry it to space. The next step of the space food is to bring the ingredients and cook in space. So we believe that there will be new technologies like the food printer. And ultimately, we will grow in space. We are researching new technologies such as biotechnologies and space farms for towards that goal. These technologies will be also useful on the Earth. So many Japanese companies at the university gathered under the JAXA's JSPAC program, Space Food X. And we are trying to solve various problems in space. Details about Space Food X will be introduced from Mizuki. Thank you so much. I'd like to hand to Mizuki.
Okay. As he said, what is needed in the space era is food. Food is the essential supply to live. And more people living in space, the more food will be needed. Therefore, we see an enormous business potential in this field. However, in the space era, when people living on the moon and Mars, we cannot bring all food from the Earth. In order to live in space for a long time, it is essential to efficiently produce food and reuse all resources without throwing away any waste. That to be said, living in space will be a crucial situation. But food has the potential to improve all sorts of QOL in space. Yet, technology and knowledge are still immature for it to be used today. And it must be dramatically developed. This is a ground theme, and it cannot be done by companies or researchers alone. This is why Space Food X was launched. Space Food X was established in March this year with aim of solving the food problem in not only in space but also on the Earth. We decided to gather the power of technology, business, and culture to tackle the issues of food in space and on the Earth. These are the members who are currently participating in Space Food X. Royalty Fund, JAXA, and SIGMAXYZ are leading Space Food X. More than 50 companies, university, research institute, and experts with highly competitive technology and the knowledge are participating. Example will be startups with food production technology, a large food manufacturer, robotics startups, and construction companies, airlines, chefs, and so on. These are the technologies and culture that are used on the Earth. We believe that they are also useful for solving the problem in space. In space, there are very few resources for people to live. And on the Earth, the population is rapidly increasing, and resources are becoming scarce. Since the space and the Earth share similar food challenges, we believe that there are solutions that can solve both. I'd like to talk about detailed solutions we envision to achieve through Space Food X. Plant X, which develops Plant Factory, achieved 5 times the production efficiency of conventional plant factory. This super plant factory can be used both in space and on the Earth. Ukraine has the technology to cultivate microalgae in large quantities. And this technology is expected to be used in space for air regeneration, wastewater utilization, food, and nutrition. Integrated cultures technology solves the cost issues of self-cultured meat. That is the biggest barrier to commercialization of self-cultured meat. This resource-saving and low-cost technology can also be used on the Earth and in space. And in space, labor is very valuable, and therefore automation is essential. Inaho has already provided this automatic harvest robot on the Earth, and is aiming to use it in space. And this is an avatar robot developed by Melting. It will be remotely controlled from the Earth to help with massive maintenance, lunar-based construction, cooking, and more in space. And Open Mills develops 3D food printers. They have given a presentation at SKS last year, and are aiming to open a restaurant next year, planning to use it in space in the future. And resource regeneration technology is also very important in space. These technologies use methane fermenting bacteria and houseflies to process foods and reuse them as resources for food production. These technologies are developed by university and startups in Japan. And Mr. Murakami is studying living in space using simulated space environment. It is very important to know how people behave in closed and extreme environments. Last but not least, Japanese food culture is very important for improving QOL in space. Japanese food culture such as wabi-sabi, omotenashi, and mottainai is a total design for sustainable community. So Japanese food culture contains essence that will be used in the future of space and the Earth. We will utilize this culture. In this way, in addition to food production and resource recycling technologies, we will use Japanese food culture to develop technologies and knowledge for improving QoL in space. Okay, and this is current roadmap Space Food X is wishing to achieve. In 2030, we will contribute to the achievement of food-related SDGs. And in 2040, we will contribute to the realization of a lunar base that can accommodate 1,000 people. And in 2050, we are aiming to build a base in space and on the Earth where humankind can survive and develop even if a crucial situation occurs on the Earth. The way of thinking we are planning to use is to set planetary migration in 2040 as the ultimate goal and develop the technology and knowledge necessary for it to happen. We then backcast and use the technology and knowledge for achieving food-related SDGs on the Earth in 2030. We are learning about what is smart in space step by step. And the process of creating the future of food, humanity, and Mother Earth from space is a great experiment for us. Ad Astra, think smart. Thank you.